Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Terry Hartley at Rustic Barn Cards, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator coming to you from Iowa. I'm so glad that you're here hanging out with me, whether you're watching, you will be watching this as a replay because I'm not live today, but I still would like for you to leave comments and I will go back and read them. So, today I have a fun card for you. It is, I'm calling it a Double Dutch Gatefold card. Maybe it's been called a Double Dutch Door card. Anyway, we're going to make it today, and I hope that you'll like it. I'm going to be using Delicate Pines, and Delicate Pines comes as a suite, and the bundle is called Delicate Pines, and it comes with ribbon and embellishments and beautiful paper. So we're going to use a little bit of all of it today. And I'm also going to be using Delicate Pines bundle for my October club. So if you're a member of Rustic Ink Creations, this is the bundle that I'm going to be using for October. And if you're not a club member, I would like to invite you to join my subscription club, and each month you'll get a package of happy mail in the mail shipped right to your home of kit to make 6 cards along with product, and in the description you can read more about that. All right, well, let me turn the camera down so we can start stamping. So as I mentioned, we're going to be using this Delicate Pines bundle, and this is not in our mini holiday catalog, but it's an online exclusive, which just means it is in our store, Delicate Pines. I love this because you can do so much with it. You have all these different sizes of snowflakes, and you can layer them as much as you want. You can layer all 3 on top of this large one. You can just layer on the next to the largest. You can just do a lot of layering. You can die cut and layer. You have some pine cones, some a small snowflake here, and some like holly and leaves. Celebrate the season. It's the most magical time of the year. Warmest wishes. And then let me show you the dies. Aren't they gorgeous? You have the dies that cut out the images, but then you have all of these extra pieces. So you can make a large pine cone here. So, and make some berries. So we're going to be using this along with the large snowflake. Now I'm going to show you the sample card, and then I have another card to show you at the end also. So we're going to I'll lay those aside. So let me show you the card that we're going to make. But before I do that, let me show you the beautiful paper. So the paper is Elegant Pine Snowflake. So I'll just really quick. We're going to be using this for the card today. And so again, just really, really pretty paper. All right, so here is the card that we're going to make. Warmest, uh, there we go. Warmest winter wishes. And it opens up and then opens up again where you get the double Dutch door, I guess. So, and then it's the most magical time of the year, and I stamped a snowflake in here. So this is the card that we're going to make. I'm going to change it up a little bit because instead of using shaded spruce for our card base, we're going to use cherry cobbler. And I stamped our big snowflake in shaded spruce, and today we're going to use pretty peacock for this card. So, and then I have another one to show you too at the end. And I use Winka Stella, which can do or not. So let's bring in our two pieces for our card base that we're going to need. And this is our card base. Let's see, I thought I had it down here for you. This first piece of cardstock is Cherry Cobbler, and it's cut at 4 1/8 by 8 3/4. And we're going to score it at 5 1/2. So I'm going to bring in our trimmer, and I am going to go ahead and turn this on the long side, and we're going to score at 5 1/2. All right. And then I have a piece of Cherry Cobbler, 2 1/4 by 8 1/2, and we're going to score it 2 1/8 on each of the long side. So here is my 2 1/4 by 8 1/2. Going to turn it on the long side, and we're going to score this 2 1/8, and that's just two little marks past the 2. And then I'm going to turn that. When I'm scoring, I always like to go up and down several times just to make sure that I get deep. And whoop, yeah, I did. Thought I scored the wrong place, but no, it's all good. All good. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to fold this, and then we're going to grab our bone folder, which it looks like I need to clean my bone folder, and burnish that. And then we'll do the same with the 2 1/8 that we scored. All right. So our card's going to go like this. And then we're going to bring in some designer series paper. And we're going to add. So I have a piece of designer series paper. And this is 4 by 3 1/8. And it's going to go right up here. So we'll just go ahead and add that right now. If you wanted more of the cherry cobbler to show, you could cut your designer series paper just a little bit shorter, but that's what I am going to do. And then we have 2 pieces of designer series paper, and this is cut at 2 and 2 1/8. So we will go ahead and add those on these flaps. So this opens up like this. So then we're going to go ahead and put this right here. So the designer series paper, you're going to need one cut at 4 by 3 1/8, and 2 of them cut at 2 and 2 1/8. And then you add them on this little front. So then I'm going to bring our card base back in, and we are going to add this right inside. So it just goes right like this. So that means we're going to add adhesive in between these 2 score lines. So we're going to add adhesive in between these 2 score lines of our cherry cobbler cardstock. Okay. Then we're going to take this, and the edge of this is going to go to the edge of here. So we'll just put that down right like that. And that looks good. You can even take your bone folder if you want to give it a, oh, so here is a little bit better. So that folds right like that. And then this folds down like this. So now let's go ahead and lay this aside, and let's go ahead and do some stamping. So I'm going to bring in a scrap of basic white and our sentiment. So we are going to start with Pretty Peacock. And I also need our basic white layer. Let's let our scrap aside. Let's bring in our basic white layer that's going to go inside our card. And it is 4 by 5 1/4. And you're also going to need a 2 by 7/8 by 2 7/8, a scrap. And our sentiment piece here is 1/2 inch by 2. Okay. So we are going to open up the Pretty Peacock, and we are going to add a little snowflake in the lower left-hand corner. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink this up and stamp that right down here. And I will need to clean my blocks because I will be using them again. And then I'm going to bring this in, this one, and I can lay it, I can overlap it, but I'm going to go ahead and stamp it so it's in those white places. Doesn't have any snowflake in it. So I'm going to stamp it just like that. And then, since we have the Pretty Peacock, I'm going to move that. I'm going to bring our scrap back in and bring our large snowflake, and I'm going to ink it up with Pretty Peacock. And since it's large, I like to bring my ink pad to my snowflake, but I like to hang on to my block. And I can just tap it lightly, make sure it has good coverage. And then straight down and straight up. Now I can leave my snowflake just like that, but I'm going to come back with the next to the largest and open my Pretty Peacock ink back up because we're not finished with that. So next to the largest, and we're going to go ahead and ink this up. And then I'm going to, the lines here, I'm going to put them right here in the white spaces, but you could overlap it right here where it's already, the line is already. So I guess what I like about this is that you have lots of choices to how you want to make your snowflake. See how that's filled that in already? Isn't that pretty? But we're not done. We're going to go ahead and we're going to come back with this small stamp, and we're going to go ahead and fill in some more, just like that. Then we're going to come back with the other small and fill it in. Now we're finished with the Pretty Peacock ink, and then bring in our large die And then we're going to bring in this is one extra, and we're going to cut 2 of these and 1 of these. Now I have already cut the large snowflake right here, but I do need to cut 2 of those because I don't think I did that. And I was thinking that I did, but you know how it is, right? You think you have everything, and but that will just take a second. And we'll just pop that out. Okay, we'll do 1 more. We might as well die cut this snowflake that I stamped when I was trying to decide whether I wanted to use shaded spruce or pretty peacock for my snowflake. But then I'll have that done for another one, won't I? All right. So there you go. And then we already have our pretty peacock. Now I find on this, you are going to need something to kind of poke the little dots out. Then you can just gently pull it. There we go. And then if you need to, you can kind of finish. Not very much of this will be showing on this particular card. Well, it looks like I left part of that in there, but it's going to be okay because we're covering up most of this. That hadn't happened before, but I think I was just kind of in a hurry. All right, and then we'll get rid of those little pieces. Okay, and now let's go ahead and finish our card. We are going to go ahead and we need to stamp our greeting and our sentiment, and we are going to use shaded spruce for that. So let's go ahead and stamp Warmest Winter Wishes. So I'm going to clean that. All right. There we go. Clean that off camera. And then we're going to bring in our inside layer because I want to stamp another greeting. And it is going to it's the most magical time of the year. So we'll go ahead and ink this up in Shaded Spruce. There we go. And then we will go ahead and add this inside our card. And I believe we are finished with the stamping. So now we can just put everything together. So as I said, this is this bundle that I'm going to use for October's club. All right, let's lay that aside and let's go ahead and bring back, not back, but bring the Shaded Spruce is 3 by 3. So this is a square. And then our basic white is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. And I'm just going to layer those on top of each other. I think I have used this bottle for a long time, but I am hoping that we'll have enough adhesive. We should, to get through this video anyway. And then I may need to get a new bottle. All right. Now, if you would like a little bit more Shaded Spruce to show, you could cut the Shaded Spruce at 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. But I think I cut mine at 3 by 3 for my Shaded Spruce layer there. All right, and so now I'm going to go ahead and decorate this before I add it to our card base. And since let's just look at this. So I have Shaded Spruce here, and I have Pretty Peacock. But then we also die cut Shaded Spruce. So I am tempted. Let's see. Well, that'll be right on, because tone on tone. Whereas if we do the Shaded Spruce, it's a little, you know what? I think we're going to switch and we're going to use the Shaded Spruce. Okay. But before I do that, I want to add our little white pieces on here. So I'm going to grab a glue dot. And I'm going to put that on the bottom of the little basic white snowflakes. And then I'm going to grab another glue dot and put here. And if I find we need to cut another one, we can. But when you add your snowflake, you're only going to see a little bit of that white behind there. But I like that look. So I think we're going to be okay. That even though that kind of broke off there. So let's go ahead and bring in some dimensionals. So we were going to use Pretty Peacock, but I decided at the last moment that we're going to use the Shaded Spruce large snowflake. And then we will just add that right here. So this could be, I could have changes to cherry cobbler, but I think tone on tone, I think that'll be just fine. So let's go ahead and bring our card base back. And before we add our decorative focal point, we're going to bring in this beautiful ribbon, shaded spruce with gold edged ribbon. It is 7/8 wide, so it's almost an inch wide. And we're going to, it's still on the spool, and I'm just going to tuck it under this large flap here. And then I'm going to leave some here to make the bow. I'm going to bring this over on this side. And pull that taunt. Okay. And then I'm going to tie a bow over here on, and I think I need just a little bit more, so that's okay. We can just, there we go. So I'm going to tie a bow over on the left-hand side. Now, if you're going to mail this card, you might not want to put the bow on, or just know that you will probably need to add some extra postage with the bow because it's going to make it a little bit more bulky. Okay, grab my scissors. And then we can pull that tight. All right. And then we can move this around. I like adding the ribbon first. And see, then here it is on the back. Because that way, when we add this, it will help keep the ribbon down. So we're going to add this, but I cannot put dimensionals all over here or we won't be able to raise our card up. So when I put this in here like this, then I'm only going to put dimensionals on this top half. Okay. So we will put, I'm going to use 5, but if you know me, I love my dimensionals. You could probably get by with 3. But I don't want this to come off. And all right, so now I'm going to slide it over to the left. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to try to get it to be straight. I'm just going to kind of place it there in case I need to move it. And when we open it up, it looks fine. And then I can press that down. Then we're going to take our warmest wishes. We're going to put that underneath so I can add an embellishment right there in the middle of the snowflake. So I'm going to put 1 dimensional right at the end. Since this is popped up, I want 1 dimensional there. Then I'm just going to add a little adhesive, which is good because I only have a little, right? Bottle's running out. And then we will put that about right here. Warmest wishes, just like that. And then we're going to bring in these beautiful faceted snowflake embellishments. And you get some shiny silver, small and large, pretty peacock, and cherry cobbler. And since our card base is cherry cobbler, I think we will use cherry cobbler. So I'm going to use a small, nope, I think I'm going to use a large cherry cobbler because it is a large snowflake, right? And we're going to put that right there. And then I'll go ahead and pick up the small and we'll put 1 up there. We'll put 1 right there. And let's just do some more. All right. So here is our card. Warmest Winter Wishes. It opens up, and then the two doors here open up. So it's the most magical time of the year. So let me show you our sample card that we did, because we used shaded spruce. So the sample card, we used shaded spruce for the card base, and we used cherry cobbler for our sentiment. Okay. And I also used different designer series paper. So I used a different for this card today. And then when you open it up, I used cherry cobbler, where here I used shaded spruce. All right. And then I told you I had one more to show you. And that is I used the next to the largest snowflake. And I did it in pretty peacock. So here I used the same designer series paper as I did on our sample card, but instead of using the large, I used the pretty peacock ink, and I stamped the next to the largest. Now let's add some Wink of Stella. If I can find one, here it is. So I don't know if you can tell, but I have Wink of Stella on here, and I added Wink of Stella on here also. And then it opens up. So we will just try that again. There we go. Now this is optional, so you wouldn't have to add the Wink of Stella, but it kind of gives some glitter, some shine without the mess, right? So I'm doing it kind of quickly, but and I don't know on the camera if you can tell or not, but it gives it just a nice little shine. So here are 3 cards, and again using Delicate Pines stamp set and Pretty Peacock and Shaded Spruce, and I use card bases Cherry Cobbler and Shaded Spruce. So I hope that you like the Double Dutch Gatefold card that I made today. Really easy, but I think it kind of gives a wow factor. And Delicate Pines bundle I'm going to be using for my October club, and there's more information in the description. I would love for you, if you're not already have subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. It really helps me, and I appreciate that. And if you're watching this on Facebook, please give me a like, and you can share this video to some of your crafty friends. So again, I am Terry Hartley. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope all of you are doing well. Take care. I will be back on next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central. And bye for now.